So this is your physical switch. 24 ports, 24 ports, fast Ethernet ports, 100 megabits per second. And at the end, then you have 2 gigabit ports that typically would connect into another switch or a router. They're called uplinks, okay? And those switches, those ports would be typically gigabit or 10 gigabit or 40 gigabit, depending on the setup and the speed and the money as well that you have invested. So I want to talk about, just before we look at packet tracer, about how actually to connect to the real switch. So let me just close this out here. Okay. So what I was saying yesterday is you can use one of these guys. You got a serial console cable, and you connect to console port, back of the switch. Makes a nice satisfying clicking sound. Now, when I turn on this switch, it will make a bit of noise because they are loud buggers. But before I turn it on, if you have an older laptop, you can use this serial to USB converter. Okay, you can get them on eBay for maybe 10 euros or something like that, not even. Or you can get them on Maplin for 30 euros. It's your choice. So what you do is you connect in both ends in here like this, and this allows you then to connect to one end is serial and the other end is USB. Okay, so you connect that into the USB port in your laptop. One second. Okay, so I'll show you the setup here, right? So you have your laptop there. Oh, but that's really very clear. And then it's going into this, it's going into here, and then it's going into the console port there. Okay, cool. Right, now the thing is, you need an application in order to run that. So let me share the screen. So there's an application called Putty. It's free. So this is what you will use to connect into an actual live device. So this is Putty. You can just download the exe, putty.exe. Now again, some people will get confused with this and packet tracer. Putty is what you use when you have a real physical switch or router. Packet tracer is what you use when you don't have any devices, when you don't have any hardware. Okay. So Putty, now what you will normally do is here you have your serial port. So you connect in, you're using your serial port. Because that's what we have. We have a USB to serial converter. Now the thing is, right, you need to find out what COM port. Sorry? What's that?
You haven't shared your screen.
Oh, I haven't shared my screen. Sorry.
No.
Sorry about that. That's better. Sorry about that. Okay, thanks for that. Is that better, guys?
Perfect, yeah.
All good.
Okay, sorry. So there's a putty.exe and it's on the desktop. You click on it. Let me see where it is here. There it is. One sec. I'll drag it over here. There. So it's the standalone.exe file. It's an executable, okay? You don't have to install anything. Just double click on it, opens it up, and you get the screen here. Okay. So you have your serial port, which is COM port 1. All right. Now the thing is, you don't know what COM port you connect your serial to USB converter in. So you need to find that out. So you go into Start and type in Device Manager, and you see what COM port is assigned to you. So you scroll down, go into ports, COM port, USB to serial. This is the connection, the connector that we have going from my laptop into the console port, this cable, and you can see it's assigned COM port 3. All right. This is not just useful for you know, this can be useful connecting into really a lot of devices, network devices, PDUs and data centers. A lot of devices will have these old type of connections. Okay, so using your COM port 3. So you change this obviously from COM port 1 to COM port 3. Now, it's not going to do anything yet because I haven't got power. Again, another thing, if you look at the switch doesn't have any switch, doesn't have an on-off switch. So I'm just going to give it some power here. I'm going to put it underneath the desk. Hopefully that will somewhat mitigate the noise because they are noisy buggers. All right. This is too bad. Okay, so click on COM port 3. Make sure serial is connection is picked, and then click on open. And you can see your switch is booting up there. So sorry, this is on Packet Tracer. It's not Pablo, no, because Packet Tracer is what you do when you don't have any hardware. Packet Tracer will somewhat pretend to be it. I'll show you the difference between PuTTY and the actual version of Packet Tracer. So you can see here, this is there we go. And now I've booted up to the, so this is my connection to a real life Cisco switch. Okay, would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? Here it says yes or no. By the way, you always say no.
Oh.
Enter. And you see here switch and your greater than sign, which is your user mode. Okay, so that's what you see when you're using the real life Cisco switch. But obviously you need to have PuTTY. PuTTY is your program that links up your laptop with, it's just a terminal emulator. It shows you what's connected on the switch, how the switch is working. Okay, so PuTTY is used for you to see. It's like a monitor. It's like a monitor into the switch. Like the switch will still operate whether you see stuff on the screen or not. The switch will still do the exact same thing. But if you want to configure it, if you want to administer it, you need access to it, and PuTTY will give you a management access to it. So, for example, you can put in passwords and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm just going to log out of here. I'm just going to turn off the switch because it's too noisy. And we're going to use Packet Tracer. A second. Okay, just give me 1 sec, guys. So I want you just to log in into Packet Tracer, install it if you haven't already installed it, and log in, and we can do 1 or 2 things on it first. Okay, so before we start looking at this again, I want to go back over some of the main points that we touched off there last night, should I say. So let me just go in here. This will make a big more difference when we're looking into it again today. So your iOS is Internet Operating System. It's a way of configuring. So what is an operating system? An operating system is a piece of software that is used to manage or administer a hardware device. So for example, I have a laptop here, I have a Dell laptop. I need an operating system such as Windows 10 in order to configure it, administer it, and manage it. Okay, it's command line based. It's a command line method. So it's CLI. Yeah, you don't use GUIs. GUI, what you can see here on the screen is GUI. The other, GUI is graphic user interface. And it's where you have your mouse and you click and you drag and you double click and you right click and you select stuff. Command line is all CLI. Once you get used to the command line, you wouldn't want to use a GUI, because the command line, once you get going, is actually quicker. It takes less resources, and it just makes it look cooler as well. The thing is, the software is consistent. It has these three modes: user mode, global configuration mode, user mode, privilege mode, and global config mode are the same modes that are consistent through all of Cisco devices. Nearly all of the devices. Some of the devices, their Nexus devices, their Nexus switches are a little bit different. They operate differently because they're specifically for data centers, switches in a data center, like a Cisco Nexus 9000 or 7000 or 5000. But again, if you can operate the packet tracer, you could make your way around a Cisco Nexus device, which is, some of these Nexus devices can be 20 grand. So just learn it once, use it many, many times, you get used to it, okay? And like I said, it's more powerful than any graphic user interface. All right. Talked about this. Connect in, you get a console end. This end here goes into the console port on the back of the switch. This end here won't go into the PC, will go into, because you typically won't have these PCs, it will connect into, let me just, actually, hold on. Let me just open up one of these. Let me show you. Might be easier when I show you online. Yeah, that's there. So USB to serial console cable. So you have your Cisco console cable and you have this guy here. All right. That's it there. Yeah. That's the one I have. So that there goes into the back of your console connection, and this then connects to your laptop. Jesus, 20 euros. It's much cheaper to get on eBay. You can have problems with some of the drivers though. I have noticed issues with some of the drivers on it. Actually, Amazon is a good option as well. So you can see here 11 euros on Amazon, 20 euros on RS Components on some website there. So okay. Again, I want to touch off these modes. So when you connect into your switch for the first time, you're in user mode. So let me bring up here. So basically what happened here is, when you see this, right, this is basically all these hashtags going across your screen. This is basically your switch taking its operating system, which is called 2950-crypto.bin, and extracting it, like WinRAR, and it's installing it. So it takes it and it takes your operating system that is stored in a .bin file. Now we will talk about operating systems and file management much further down the line. So it takes it and it decompresses it and it installs it. Okay. Then you got your disclaimer from Cisco, starts operating and installing some of the files. You got your cryptographic features, so you can install encryption to make sure that nobody is seeing what you're typing in. You got the MAC address of the switch. Typically, a switch will only have one MAC address, which is used to identify it, and I'll talk about that. And then some serial numbers. And you get this message here. Would you like to enter initial configuration dialog? This is message that you see here is basically your switch saying, I have no configuration on me. I have never been configured. I've booted up, the switch is booted up. It looks to see if there is any prior configuration stored on the switch. If there is configuration on the switch, it will load it. If there's no configuration, you see this message here. Would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? Yes or no? You always say no. I would show you why, and I would show you what happens when you say yes afterwards. Okay. And then you're going to have a lot of these messages: span tree system 2950, blah blah blah, SNMP. Would you like? Yeah. So you say no here, and you press enter, and you get this message here. So now we're into user mode. Okay, user mode. You know, again, you're in user mode because it'll say switch and the greater than sign. Again, I'm going to go over this quickly yesterday. I know I touched off it a little bit yesterday, but I don't think it really went through it enough. So user mode is your basic mode. You can do no damage in here. It's like a stepping stone. You won't stay in user mode for long. You would typically go from user mode into privilege mode very quickly. How do you do that? You type enable and press enter. And that will go to privilege mode. You know you're in privilege mode because the one character will go from a for greater than sign to a hash. That tells you that the switch now is in privilege mode. When you are in privilege mode, you've got a different set of commands. It's a different mode. Commands that are in privilege mode will not work in user mode. Okay, you've got more commands. You can do more stuff. You can damage your switch beyond repair in privilege mode. You can't really do much damage in user mode. So for example, if your manager wanted to get access to your switch and he's non-technical and you're afraid he's going to break it, well, then you could give your manager access to user mode on the switch. Okay. Any questions on anything there? All right. So then your privilege mode is used for file management. So it's used for saving files, storing files. If you want to view anything on the switch, you use it, you go into privilege mode. So for example, if you want to say show MAC address table. That's done in privilege mode. Okay. All your show commands, you need to get used to that quickly. All your show commands are done in privilege mode. They will not work in user mode. They will not work in global configuration mode. Okay. So some commands, hold on, I lie. Some commands, some show commands will work in user mode, but privilege mode is where you want to be. Okay. To go then from privilege mode to global configuration mode, you type config space T. Or conf space T. And you press enter. And that will go into global configuration mode. How you know you're in global configuration mode? Because it will say config. So you have switch, config, and a hashtag. All right. Any questions on that, guys? Okay, all good. Thanks, Mark. All right. All right, so let's have a look at packet tracer. Again, this is what we talked about. We showed you what happens with this the switch. Let's look at packet tracer. So we click on packet tracer here. Do a search for it. First time you have to actually use your login details to connect in. So I'll just wait a minute until everyone's finished logging in. If everyone's finished logging in, let me know. Just put yes in your chat. If you still need a minute, please tell me. I have no problem in waiting for anyone at all, but no problem waiting for anyone, but I can't see people's screens, so I don't know where you are. Okay, so please let me know if you're going to be a little bit longer, if you're struggling with installing it or connecting into it, let me know. Okay, so you should have, everyone's all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you should have packet tracer here on the screen. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing. Excuse me, just something in my teeth. With the switch that I've done earlier on. Okay, you don't need a putty. Putty is only when you have a physical switches on your desk. You have the actual physical hardware. Packet tracer is used if you don't have physical devices. It's very useful because it gets you know, if you get you used to working with the operating system. So there's two ways of connecting into the switch of packet tracer. One is you drag a switch across and you click on it and go into CLI, and it just opens up. Now, actually, what I will say is, guys, it's sometimes good to do a little bit of configuration on packet tracer first. So what I normally would do is I go into File, Options, Preference, and I remove these guys here. You see these guys? Show device model labels, show device name labels. I remove them there. I also remove that one there. Also show port labels and logical. I don't like that one. So take that off. Take that off. Take these two off. I think it's better. Where is this option? Okay, File, Options, Preferences. And it's in here. So File, Options, Preferences. File, Options, Preferences. And you remove them ones there, yeah? Another one to go into is font. I like to have a black background, or sorry, white. This is wrong. 1 second. My switch, I'm a router. I like to have black text and a white background. Black text and a white background. It's the same with my PC console text. PC should be black text and a white background. Okay, black text, white background, black text, white background. So apply that. And you can make your CLI bigger so you can see what you're typing. 13 or 14 is fine. Apply it. Okay, click on your switch, go into CLI, and now you see you have your black text and a white background. I think it's better than black and white, than white text and a black background. Yeah. Now we can't do this with a physical switch because this is packet tracer. So how would you emulate what we did earlier on? Well, you have to get your PC. By the way, let me go back again, guys. Please let me know if I'm talking too fast, or if I'm going too fast on you. Where you get your switches is, I'm going to delete it again. You drag and drop your switch. See it down here on the bottom left, switches. Click on switches, drag and drop the first one there, 2960, 2960. Drag and drop it into the blank space here. Okay, we do the same thing with our PC. Take a PC, use a laptop or a PC, it doesn't matter. Laptop, and drag and drop it into the space there. Now we need to connect to the switch from the PC. So we need a connection. So go over to our lightning jack here, click on it, and then move over to console. See the console one here? Click on that. Click on RS232, which is the technical term for a serial port. Click on that there. And on the other end, click on console. And that's what you should see there. I'll give everyone a second there to just get that up. Like I said, any questions at all, let me know. Is that okay, guys? Not working or? Okay, let's go to Graham.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, cool. Good stuff. I'll go. Oh, your cable is not shown. Let's have a look. So you click on the connections here, Edmund. And you move it across and you have console here. Let me just delete this one here. Okay, I'll go and do it again. So you got your switch, or you got your switch on one end and you got your PC here. You move over, go into your console, click on it once, bring it over, click here. You should have these four options. RS232, click on that once, move it across to the switch, click on the switch and choose console. How's that working now, Edmund? You might be on mute. Edmund, all right. Let's move on.
No, it's still not working.
Oh, still not working. Okay.
No.
Do you have it? You have your switch here, yeah?
Yeah, I have my switch there.
You have your switch, and it's a 2960 switch, is it?
Did you say 2911 or 20?
2960. Drag and drop. And then move across to your end devices. Get a laptop. Connect your laptop in. Then move over here to your connections. And then get a console. Connect the console port into RS232 and the other end into console.
All right.
Is that a little bit better or?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's okay now.
Cool. Good stuff. Okay, cool. All right. So we're going to do the same thing that we done earlier on. Click on the PC. Click on desktop. Click on terminal. And this is basically Packet Tracer's version of PuTTY. Okay. So you got your, so if I have a look at PuTTY here, it's gone. Let me just double click on PuTTY. This is PuTTY here. And you can actually see, you should have settings. Serial settings. There we go, look. So you can kind of see it's the same. COM port, you got your baud rate, 8 data bits, 1 stop bit, no parity of flow control on off, X on, X off. Yeah. So click on OK, and you are connecting to your switch from your PC here. Press enter. All right. All good. That's what you should see. You should, don't click on the switch itself. Again, I'll go back. Don't click on the switch, click on the PC, go into desktop, go into terminal and click on OK. Okay, PC, click on the, or the laptop, click on desktop tab, click on terminal and then click on OK. That's what you should get there. Any questions with that?
No, all good.
Good. Cool. All right. So we're in now, we're onto our PC, we're onto our switch the same way. What do we type in? We can type question mark. Question mark shows us what commands are available to us at what mode. This is the user mode. Remember, user mode. How do we know we're in user mode? Because it has your greater than sign. Okay. So user mode, you got your exec commands, you got connect, disable, disconnect. Basically, all of these commands, you can't do anything with it. They're only just for, they're only really just as stepping stones, very basic troubleshooting. Okay, really, they're used to connect to the switch or disconnect, or go from user mode into privilege mode. And you do that by typing enable. Or you can type EN and press enter. Type EN and press enter, and it changes. Why? Because I talked about this yesterday. The switch will accept any command as long as there's no ambiguity. Like I typed EN and it would accept EN. Why? Because there's only one possible command that starts with EN, and that's enable. Now I couldn't type E and press enter. Why? Because that would be, the switch would say, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to enable or do you want me to exit? Okay, so we're now in privilege mode. We're gone from privilege mode, sorry, into, we went from user mode into privilege mode. Yeah. View what commands we can, so I want you to do the same thing in privilege mode. Press the question mark key and have a look at the commands in privilege mode. So you can see there's far more commands in privilege mode than there is in user mode. Okay. These commands, such as you can configure your clock, your system clock. You can use connect, you can do file management, you can delete files. You can go in and change or have a look to see what files are on folders. You can erase files. You can run pings here. You can reload your switch. You can't reload your switch in user mode. Won't let you. We can do it in privilege mode. So you can see where the power becomes not much power in user mode, lots and lots of power in privilege mode. Okay. You can telnet from one switch to another, or you can SSH from one switch to another. I'll show you the difference between telnet and SSH next week. Okay. You can do trace routes. Talk about that next week as well. Okay, so now we're going to go. Actually, what I do here is another. You see where this is useful here. It has question mark, and the question mark shows you all a list of the commands. Well, what you can do is I can type show space question mark, and that there says show display for me the commands that I can view by saying show space question mark. So for example, I didn't probably explain that very well. So I could type in show space AAA, or show space access list, or show ARP, or show boot, or show CDP, or show clock. So basically, the question mark is here. It's saying these are the available commands that I could type in after typing in show. Does that make sense? So type in show MAC address table. Now look, if you look here, there's two different MAC addresses. There's two different MAC commands. To show MAC and to show MAC hyphen address table. Okay. So type in show space MAC hyphen. Now I want you to press the tab button. The tab button is very, very useful because it'll finish the word for you. So press tab and it finishes the word for you. Show MAC hyphen address table. Very, very useful. Okay. So tab finishes the word for you. So some of the things here we looked at there. So question mark, it's called context sensitive help. Tab button. Tab completes the
Lee,
word for you. Auto completes it.
yeah, I have a problem here.
Sorry?
I get a problem here, sorry. I tap Mac and give me 255.255.2.55, but I can't do
Okay,
anything else, no?
yes. Basically, if you give a command a switch that the switch doesn't recognize, it will do this, right? So I just type in here, conads. And the switch says, there's no command there that has conads, right? And this will say, I'm going to translate this. It's going to contact this. This is a broadcast message. 255.255.255.255 is looking for the main server. So basically, the switch is trying to contact the domain server to see, hey, domain server, can you know what this means? Okay. And this can take a long time for it to finish. So you could say Control-Shift-6, and that will stop it. So if you press Control-Shift and 6, it aborts it. Now, there is a command that you can stop this from happening. And I'm going to teach you this command now because it's very useful. And you need to know this command now because it will prevent this from happening again and again and again and again, especially when you're getting used to it. So I want you to go into global configuration mode for me. Type conf space T. Again, you know you're in global configuration because
The switch.
it has the config there. Yeah. Okay, and I want you to type in this command: no IP domain lookup. No IP domain lookup. This will basically mean that if you type in a command that the switch doesn't understand, it's not going to do a domain lookup. That's what's causing the problem here. The switch is looking for the main server because it doesn't understand the command. You're telling the switch, don't look for the main server if you see a command that you don't recognize. By the way, another thing, if the switch likes a command, if the command is an acceptable command to the switch, it will not give you any error. It will just accept it. If you type in something that the switch doesn't like, it will give you an error. Okay, so when I press enter there, it looked like it didn't do anything, but it does. When it looks like it doesn't do anything, that's when it actually takes the command. But if I put in no space IP domain hyphen, like this is the wrong command, it's going to give you an error. Invalid input detected. Okay, but if you put in the right command, it will give you no error.
No IP domain.
One sec, I'll actually. So you need to do this in global configuration mode, guys. All right. Are we getting on? You know you're in global configuration mode because it'll say switch and config. All right. Cool. Okay, so is everyone, that's okay with everyone there, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay, now I want to go back into from global configuration mode back to privilege mode. So how do you go back? So to go back a mode, you type exit. So if you want to go from global configure mode, you're going to go from global config mode back to privilege mode, you type exit and press enter. And that will bring you from here all the way across the privilege mode. Okay, try it out. So type exit, enter, and you're back to privilege mode. Okay. Okay, is everyone back in privilege mode?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to type another command, show space clock. Let's have a look at the clock here. Oh, cool. The clock says they were out of date, okay? Clock is March the 1st, 1993.
Right. Yeah.
So this, there's probably people in this class that haven't been born. If that makes you feel really old, it makes me feel old. No, there's somebody, there's one or two. Is there anyone in this class that wasn't born then?
No.
It's always Sergio. Sergio, yeah, there you
I
go.
can't see this well.
Hmm?
Clock.
Yeah, so there, yeah, that there, God, right. Anyway, so we need to change it. Okay, it's yeah, 30 years out of date. Okay. All right. So we're going to change it. Okay. So how we're going to configure the clock to be, we're going to manually change the clock. Now, in a number of weeks' time, we're going to talk about NTP, Network Time Protocol, and that is a way of configuring devices to automatically get the clock times automatically downloaded. But we won't do that now. At the moment, I just want to get you used to running basic commands. Okay. So first command, let me make this a little bit bigger actually. Preferences, font, apply, in here, terminal, no, and okay, okay, right. So type in clock space question mark. Use the question mark, right? And the clock space question mark says, this is the command and this is the description. So clock space, the question mark tells us that the next command is set. So type set, S-E-T, and type space question mark. And the clock, the switch says, we need to configure the clock in this format. Hours, colon, minutes, colon, seconds. So we need to put the current time in the hours, colon, minutes, colon, seconds format.
20.
Okay, so we do that. 20, colon, 48, colon, just pick some 21.
Okay.
Space, question mark.
22.
How are you getting on with that? Not good?
Good. fine.
Okay, good, great. Anyone else? No problems?
So happy, Lee. I can follow you, man. So happy today.
Oh, good. That's good, good. You couldn't follow me yesterday, Pablo, no?
To be honest, I was very tired, man. I am very, very tired. I try to do my best, you know what I mean?
Yes, yesterday was a tough class. So go back over a lot of the stuff, go back over the video again and again. There's a lot of stuff we went through yesterday. If I might get a chance, I might go back over some of the stuff next week that we talked about yesterday, because it's a complex topic. Okay, so clock, space, the time, space, question mark, and now it's looking, sir, for the day of the month. Now it's given us variables. It's given us variables, so we can either put in the day of the month first or the month of the year first. Obviously, we're in Europe. We're going to put the day of the month. Okay, so we're going to say day of the month is through 6, and the month. See where? Okay, and then it's question mark, and now month here. So this means that we actually have to type in the month. Okay, so we say type in January, space, question mark, and now we're putting in the year, 1993 to 2035. God, I wonder what happens at the end of 2035. Is it going to be like one of these Y2K things again, where switches will just stop working? Typically, we won't have these 2960 switches in the next 13 years. I would hope not. Maybe 2022. Space, question mark, CR. We're at the end of our command. CR stands for carriage return. It means that when we press enter, the switch will take that command and execute that command. We didn't see this before. The reason why we didn't see that before is because if I only put in, if I remove some of this information, and if I press enter here, I'm going to get incomplete command. Why? Because we haven't put in the year. So CR is our switch's way of saying that it will accept that full command now. Now, by the way, another really useful command is the up arrow. The up arrow recalls previous commands. Saves us having to type them back in again. Okay, so 2022 and press enter. So you can see how valuable the question mark is, because it shows us what commands we can type in at that mode. Really, really useful. And now to verify everything, type show space clock again. And we got 2048. Well, now it's not 2048, it's 2052. And UTC is the assigned time zone, Wednesday, 26th of January, 2022. How are we getting on with that, guys?
All good.
All good. Everyone all good? Eduardo, you're okay? Edmund? All good. Cool. Cool. Okay, guys, I just want to take it nice and slow, which is okay. So, okay, so again, we can go question mark again, and you can see all the commands available to us. So another command you could say is exit. Again, exit, and that will kick us out of the switch completely. Press enter, and we go back to user mode. Go from user mode, type enable. I don't even have to type enable. You can just type in EN. EN is the same as enable. So you can type in EN and press enter, and it will take that, or you can type EN and tab will finish it for you. So now we're back in privilege mode. Type config space T, and we're back in global configuration mode. One more thing we can do, we can even go further. I'm going to exit, and I'm going to go back to privilege mode. How do you know you're in privilege mode? By the way, the best way to do this, if you're stuck in a mode, just exit out until you come back that has switch and your hashtag. Okay. So here, I'm going to type in show IP int brief. Okay. And this command is really, really useful because it shows us all of our interfaces, all of the ports we have. So you can see all of our interfaces, fast Ethernet 0/1. These are all the ports of packet tracer. The 0/24. Gigabit 0/1, gigabit 0/2, and VLAN 1. Okay. I can go in to one of these ports and configure one of these ports. So if I want to configure FA 0/6, for example, where do I do it from? I need to go back into, I'm in, what mode am I in at the moment? I'm in privilege mode. I need to go from privilege mode back to global configuration mode. And then from global configuration mode, I need to go into my interface mode. Okay, so there's lots of different modes. These are your three main ones. But if I want to configure my interface, I will go from privilege mode into global configuration mode, and from global configuration mode into another mode, just specifically for that interface. Okay, let's have a look. So type, we're back in privilege mode. Type conf space T. Now I'm back in global configuration mode. And then if I want to configure interface FA 0/7, just type in int FA space 0/7. Press enter. And this is another mode. This mode here is specifically for interface FA 0/7. Good man, Gary. You're doing my job there for me. I thought you were actually helping people out. But yeah, go by that. Gary has very very obligingly helping people out by putting the commands into the chat. I'm just kind of just saving you here, Gary. Yeah. On purpose, of course. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you know where you are now because it'll say switch config -if. Anything I type in here, I'm not going to globally affect the switch. I'm only going to affect this one port, interface FA 0/7. So if I make a change on this interface mode, I'm not going to affect interface FA 0/8 or 0/5, only interface FA 0/7. Okay. To exit out of that, I type exit, and you see here, switch global config. By the way, the textbook definition for the global configuration mode, I'm going to type it in here. This is probably the last thing we're going to talk about. Global configuration mode is a command that is set once and globally affects the device. That's your exam definition for your global configuration mode. So when you're in global configuration mode, you type it in once and it affects the whole device. So if I wanted to something to actually affect the whole device, I can do it in this global configuration mode. All right, guys, I would say we're going to do a lot more next week on this. This is just basically an introduction. it.